we begin our discussion of this chapter on cost concepts and cost terminology, one of the first things to understand is the difference between a direct cost and an indirect cost. As this indicated on this particular slide here, a direct cost is a cost that can be easily and conveniently traced to a cost object. Now you might be saying, well, what the heck is a cost object? Well, it's anything you want it to be. Anything you want it to be. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples here in a moment. But a direct cost is something that you can accurately trace to that object, whatever that object is. An indirect cost is a cost that's definitely there, definitely a part of the deal, if you will. However, that cost cannot be easily traced to a cost object. So, in the context of what we're going to be talking about in the future in this chapter, direct material or direct labor, which we will discuss later, is part of the cost of a product. That's easily traced. People have time cards, and we have a list of the material that needs to go into the product. Overhead, on the other hand, the other stuff that's necessary to allow manufacturing to produce a product, well, that's less easily traced. Now, what is a cost object? Well, a cost object, as I said, is anything you want it to be. So let's just say, for example, you and a friend go into a restaurant for dinner. If you order a little Prosecco before dinner, a little insalata before you have your pasta, what that waiter is going to be writing down are all of the direct costs associated with what you ordered. The Prosecco, the glass of wine, the veal scallopini, the gnocchi, or whatever the case may be. And your bill is going to be a direct cost. That's a direct cost. Now, there is some other costs inside that restaurant. The maitre d', the chefs in the back, the lighting. Are those costs being applied to you? Well, they indirectly are. They indirectly are inside the cost of that gnocchi or that insalata or that Prosecco. But the direct costs are, in fact, specific and clear. It would be the same thing as, let's just assume you're a guest at the hotel. You're at the Ritz-Carlton, okay? If you go down to the spa and get a massage, the ladies get a pedicure and a manicure, that's a direct cost because they know it's the person who's in room 405. They came down for a massage, a pedicure, and a manicure. But the flowers and the cost of the depreciation in the reception desk that registered you is an indirect cost. Cannot be specifically tied to you. It can if the cost object, it could be a direct cost if my cost object was, how much does it cost to run the reception desk? So let's just understand this. A direct cost and an indirect cost is directly traced to the cost object. An indirect cost is indirectly traced to the cost object. One more example. I'm the national sales manager and I have regions. I have the Western region, the Central region, and the Eastern region. And I want to look at the profitability across each of those regions individually. Well, the people that work in each of those regions are a direct cost, and I can directly see what they are. But there may be some other indirect costs that they incur that I cannot specifically attach to any one region. Maybe they are some corporate costs. Those are going to be indirectly applied. We're going to see a little bit later that you shouldn't really do that, but a lot of companies do that, these common costs. So those cannot be specifically traced, so they are going to be an indirect cost. So what am I getting at? A cost object can be anything. It could be a product line, it could be an individual customer, it could be a region, it could be you going in and getting a nice Italian dinner at a nice Italian restaurant. Hope that clarifies the difference between cost objects, direct costs, and indirect costs.